Two. Hello, this is your boy, the Omega Katana of the Omega 13 podcast, and today this is episode 3 of season 2 of the Omega 13 podcast, and I'm here with my guest here, Makenshi Critiques, and what he does is live streams as well as reviews or live reviews on YouTube. I'll let you do the. I'll introduce you. I'll introduce you to. I'll let him do the rest though.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Makenshi Critiques. I do anime reactions and maybe sometimes TV reactions to TV shows and that kind of thing. I'm mainly a retro sort of anime fan. Not really fan of the modern stuff, but I do check out some modern shows. So I think there's something for everyone.
Yeah. So, anyways, before we begin, we're just going to introduce him, what he does, which he just did just now, and I just want to ask him, what is your first anime or how you got into the world of Japanese anime?
As a kid, a lot of my friends used to watch Dragon Ball Z. They would always come home from school and just bang on about Dragon Ball Z and watching that. I kind of grew up more on the Astro Boys, Speed Racer, Ulysses 31 anime shows, really obscure stuff. And I was actually saying this earlier today that it was the culture shock, right? Been so used to watching American cartoons and the very basic storylines, very simple kind of juvenile entertainment, right? But when you saw these kind of shows, you're like, damn, man, these get pretty dark, or these get pretty controversial by this Western standards for animated shows. So those were my gateway into anime. I don't think I was consciously aware that these were even Japanese anime as such. So I think really when I got into anime was Naruto. I think that was a lot of people's gateway drug into anime, and I used to love Naruto. It was like my favorite show ever. I mean, that's changed a lot since I've expanded my horizon and watched different shows and kind of grown up, So yeah, really those were the shows that kind of got me into anime.
Okay, well, you hear that ringing sound? That's really interesting because Naruto used to be really good. I'll tell you about that later in the podcast. Don't know about you, but I actually hear ringing in my left earplug. So
yeah,
so
I don't hear any ringing. Sorry.
Okay, so I get into that later, but I used to like Naruto in the earlier seasons, like season 1 or 2, or the first part of the Naruto series when he was a kid, still like a 12 or 13-year-old, because that's one of the best written shonen series of all time, in my opinion. Besides your Yu Yu Hakusho, your Rurouni Kenshin, and your Shaman King.
Yeah, I think pre-time skip Naruto was strong, really, really strong for characterization and emotions. I don't think I really saw an anime that had as many emotional stakes. I think I was emotionally invested as Naruto. I felt like there were so many different characters you could kind of relate to. They weren't quite the archetypes that you see usually. The big strong dude, the smart nerd who outwits his enemy, or the leader role, like the Leonardo of Turtles. But you kind of saw people like Shikamaru who were lazy. They were really gifted, but they were very lazy, and you could really relate to those characters. Or Neji, who came from this really strict conservative sort of clan, so there was a lot to really relate to. I think for when Naruto came out, for a lot of kids who weren't like weren't the jocks at school, or weren't quite the nerds, somewhere in between, right? There's a whole spectrum in between. So I think it's really great for characterization and emotional stakes.
Yeah, so that's an interesting good point, because of how Naruto used to be like how if you're an outcast, don't let that stop you from achieving your dream. Yeah, thank you, Full Metal Cowboy. I know too. It's ringing on my left side. So, anyways, Naruto's like basically how to don't give up on your dreams despite being an outcast. The whole world hates you.
Yeah.
And you have no parents to love. And it's kind of a bit realistic how a person who was an outcast acts like a delinquent so he can get attention.
Yeah, exactly. He puts on this face, right?
Yeah.
To hide his insecurity and his sadness and everything. And I know a lot of people think now that I shit on stuff I used to watch, but I do always acknowledge Naruto as something special. You know, like
Yeah.
it was transformative for me. It was integral in getting me into anime. So I still love, respect, you know, Naruto, and everything good I ever said about Naruto, I still stand by all the good
Yeah.
things I said. You know, I mean, it maybe derailed a bit, you know, in the
Yeah.
post time
Same
skip,
here.
but yeah,
Yeah, so how I got into anime, people, is basically back in the late '90s. My dad and or my parents rented a OVA series from Blockbuster called Fatal Fury, which are I forgot their names, but I call them the Fatal Fury OVA series. I know there's a movie, but I just watched the two OVAs. And that's how I got into anime due to how mature it is at times, as well as the animation style by Obardi, which is famous for its mecha animes, which I didn't know it's like years later. But that anime left a lasting impact with me, as as well as make me become an SNK fan years later because I wanted to play his games. Because I already knew
yeah,
that Fatal Fury is based on a Neo Geo series, but I always wanted to play his games. And also, I grew up around of the Toonami era in the U.S., which is animation block for those who are not American, who was famous for airing animes like Dragon Ball Z, Gundam, Sailor Moon, sometimes Robotech, Zoids, Naruto, as I as we were talking about a bit before, and that's how I got into anime. And for the longest time, this is before the internet, so whenever anime is on TV, I was hooked to it because how exotic it looked, and there's not much of it. And for the longest time, I still stand by the fact I enjoy anime more than Western animations these days. There's some really good Western animations like Batman Beyond, Avatar. Okay.
yeah. I mean, they've got casts of Netflix is really investing in animations. So we've got
Yeah.
you know 3 seasons of Castlevania animated show, which is crazy that
Dope.
you know the West was able to create something of a Japanese property better than Japan could have. You know, so yeah,
Yeah.
I think the West is there's a resurgence for the West, and um, you know, uh, and like you say, the culture shock of it. I think there's a lot of anime nowadays that's getting made, which is made for an international market. So everything's about
Yeah.
superheroes. So Boku no Hero Academia and you know things like One Punch Man, which just feels
Yeah.
really homogenous. But I feel like anime still manages to, on a rare occasion, give me that feeling of a culture shock. Like I'm seeing
Yeah.
something new and exotic. So
Yeah, I feel the same way too. Despite, and that's probably because there's like too much of anime. Don't know about you, do probably disagree with that. That it do like it's so abundance of it. I'm like starting to get
yeah,
get annoyed because I loved anime and whatnot. I said it. I'm going to repeat this phrase so many times. Ever since I was a kid, still love the art style and whatnot now and the giant robots. But speaking of giant robots, they don't seem to make that much anymore of that genre. But
yeah. I
oh
mean they do, but I guess there's more fan service in it now. It's just loosely you know mecha giant robot related with something else in the forefront, like a slice of life or a
yeah,
harem comedy or something.
yeah, I miss the straightforward ones like Gundam or your Mazinger Z type of or Gurren Lagann ones.
Yeah,
So
and
so and
Gurren Lagann's great. Like in credit to Gurren Lagann, that was probably one of my favorite mecha giant robot shows that I've
yeah,
seen so far.
okay. Yeah, I thought like the ringing stopped, and thanks for letting us know, Full Metal Cowboy. I appreciate it. So I know some people are going to come out later in the chat and whatnot, and thanks for like thanks for letting us know, and also and but I want to tell you what are your opinions on anime today. Despite you said it in a second, but I just want to get into the elaborate full
Okay,
detail here.
okay. I mean, modern anime, you know, I think it has the potential to give us something good, but we're never gonna meet that potential as long as there's issues in the industry, right? Like
Yeah,
I brought up a few times and kind of shown people that you know, and people have shown me that anime there aren't as many dedicated animators in the industry anymore because it doesn't pay well and nobody wants to put the work in because you know there's a lot of like crunch involved, like just like the games industry, but the pay isn't great, and there's not enough people who are willing to, animate. There's few studios like Wit Studio where you can tell the animators are passionate about what they're doing, but on the whole, we just can't get the adaptations of manga that's existed for the last 15 to 20 years, because people just cannot replicate or don't want to replicate, because the industry is so it's in shambles basically. So the modern, I mean, I don't really respect it. You do see good things every now and again. You do see things that pass the time that you watch. Some things that have lots of potential but don't quite, hit that. And it's weird because we get so much more anime now, but the quality hasn't risen in line with more shows. So when I don't know if you were watching when I was reacting to Fiend versus Anime Snob. Fiend, who's a big proponent of modern anime, made the case that if more people get to make anime, we're gonna get more quality anime. But then at the same time, on the other hand, he kept conceding that 90% of anime is still garbage. So nothing's really changed. We've had more anime in the last 15-20 years, but why is it that 90% of anime is still garbage? Like he says, retro anime was 90% garbage. So nothing's really changed. More anime out there hasn't mean that the quality is risen, and I don't think you could make an objective case for more anime means better quality, especially when you consider like the standards in the industry and everything being digital and CG and no cell animation and no hand-drawn animation, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting with that. You brought up that debate, because basically that guy, he does not tend to say flip-flop a lot and tend to like do the same old excuses that modern anime is better than the classics because it's modern. And did you know, technology-wise, that retro looks kind of ugly from a lot of modern anime viewers, but just ignore the animation quality because some of those stories are quite enjoyable. You're not going to see always like Akira or Ghost in the Shell or Daigengo. I cannot pronounce the name of that robot show from 1987 or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of pass. I think a lot of things get a pass nowadays. I think because the standards have dropped so much, because with so much anime out there, people have to find something to watch. Like, it's not like they're just going to quit anime overnight. Anyone who says, I'm just going to quit watching anime is just lying to themselves, because even Snob, after constantly complaining about modern anime, still continues to watch anime. So people aren't gonna. So they decide to settle for second best or third best or fourth best. So standards have dropped. So they're more willing to forgive, bad writing in exchange for the superficial, the superficially gratifying aspects of anime, like the cutesiness or the spectacle of it all, without really scrutinizing the writing of it. And I feel that's often the case, and that's why you get pretentious overthinkers now.
Yeah. Exactly, which basically, even though some people don't like retro anime, but at least respect it for like introduce us to like certain parts of genres, like Mobile Suit Gundam 79 with the real robot genre, and how Armor Trooper Votoms improved some stuff with the mecha combat and the greatness of the war stories and whatnot, as well as making it to an action flick. But
I mean, I was never a big fan of. One thing I can definitely say is that I was never a big fan of the mecha genre or giant robot genre growing up. It's only in recent memory, in the last couple of years, people have recommended giant robot shows like what's that show? Mobile Police, Pat Labor, Gundam. I've been watching Gurren Lagann. I watched. So it's all in the last couple of years I've grown to appreciate the giant robot mecha genre. I wouldn't say even today it's my favorite, but I definitely have more of an appreciation for that genre, and the animation, and definitely the craft that went behind shows like that, and the animation and the sakuga and everything. So
I appreciate the sakuga, but really with the pretentious overthinkers, they tend to overthink a simple concept. Like, for an example, like that anime Your Name, most people like it because of the animation quality. I give it that. The animation looks beautiful, but how it was storyboarded and how the plot is, I hated it.
Yeah, Your Name.
It's like a generic anime. Not to tell me I'm a hipster, I prefer actiony, macho stuff, but sometimes I like my school animes like Angel Beats, which is one of my favorites. Don't get me wrong, don't tell Snob that.
Yeah.
that I love Angel Beats.
Yeah. I mean,
Still to this day.
your name, sorry, it was Kimi no Nawa, right?
Yes.
I got a lot of flack for that. I think I reacted to that, and it was a great anime aesthetically. It's all about aesthetics nowadays for people. I think, the film was okay. It was just okay for me. People expected me to say it was amazing. There were huge leaps in logic, and there was huge mental gymnastics you had to do to kind of reconcile the story and everything, and people care more about how it makes you feel rather than the components of the show and how they weave together, how much it makes sense, how much disbelief you have to suspend. I mean, most anime you have to suspend disbelief, but sometimes you have to have some sort of rationale, right? So it was just a feel good sort of anime, the usual romance sort of animes, but it wasn't anything special. But I got a lot of flack for that, and I think that the backlash you get to making like I watched the same film they did. I didn't watch anything different. The backlash, I think, from the community shows a lot about what matters to most anime fans nowadays.
Most anime fans, because they tend to care about feelings instead of the story and plot, which kind of contradicts the two elements. Because whenever I feel for anime, it gotta have good writing. Yeah. And it gotta have a build up, not just bam, there's a sad dramatic moment. No, it has to have build up and has to have really well written, like a drama, basically. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised not a lot of anime are not like soap operas, really well written soap operas.
Yeah, I mean, a well animated film with bad writing will be a bad film, but a kind of mediocre animated show with great writing can still be a good show. So I think the importance should be on the writing.
Exactly. Like you definitely heard this series. It's one of your favorites. It's called Monster by Naoki Kurosawa.
Yeah, correct,
Sorry about messing up his last name, but basically how it's written, like this was this Japanese surgeon who works in Germany wanted to help people, but due to his superiors, he was forced to work with rich people till he felt bad for those two children. So he risked his entire career to just help these two people. Yeah. After his life was ruined afterwards, one of them became a normal person, and the other one became an infamous serial killer.
Yeah.
And the drama came in when the main protagonist's superiors got killed by that same person he saved years later.
Yeah.
And he was on the run due to being framed, and he was the main suspect. And not just the character, but also the police inspector, which is one of the main characters in certain episodes, tried to capture him. So it brings up that drama and suspense, which I kind of miss in anime now.
Yeah, I missed the animes respecting the viewer's intelligence. I feel like everything's kind of pushed onto symbolism and hoping that the community gets what they're trying to go for, and injecting their own interpretations. And sometimes, I had this conversation with someone that Neon Genesis Evangelion, the community were the people responsible for injecting essays worth of meaning into the show, when really, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion didn't really think of it beyond his own depression and what he was going through in life. It was really the community that injected all that into it, right? Yeah. And while people appreciate, that kind of thing, I think we get anime like that today now with isekais, where people are just injecting depth into it because there is no depth there. So with something like Monster, the mystery kept the mystery going. You couldn't really predict what was coming. You sat there for the ride, and once you were finished with it, you could kind of see it as a whole, right? You couldn't really theory craft about it or anything like that. And I think someone made a really great point to me while I was watching Vinland Saga. Shows nowadays are made or broken by the theory crafting community. You got just shot anime where it's all about foreshadowing and setup and stuff that pays off 200 episodes later, so the community can theory craft and make their own fanfic up in their head or headcanon. Yeah. But Vinland Saga never had that. You couldn't theory craft about Vinland Saga. You couldn't theory craft about Monster. So there's no conversation around it. There's no thriving community around it. People can't fucking, sorry for my language.
Yeah.
People can't profit off this theory crafting stuff. The 7 minute video about this might happen or this might happen, this might happen. I think nowadays more of a product now that people can leech off is what is successful, and shows that really make you engage and make you be a participant in it don't really take off nowadays. So
Yeah. But you gave a good point about Evangelion, because to me it's like an overrated show, because I have a love-hate relationship. To me it's just like a melodramatic robot show, which a show called Ion does it way better when deconstructing robots.
yeah,
Because
and
due to how powerful the robot is, I know some people have their fans with Evangelion, and I like how the robots look and whatnot, but it wasn't resonating it to me that much. But the directors, like other works like Shin Godzilla, that was a good Godzilla movie, but that isn't an anime. But really, its community just ruins the show even more, because, like you said, they tend to overthink it to the point it's like, you just spoiled the whole series for newcomers, dude.
yeah,
You said it's like one of the best animes of all time, but you spoiled the freaking show.
yeah,
Due to your overthinking. Like, ooh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, some plot point and whatnot. It's the blah, blah, blahs. And blah, 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 blah. And blah, 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 blah. Oh, symbolism here means this, blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
Yes, due to that, you just spoiled the plot twist and everything.
And I feel like a lot of content creators nowadays who allege to be anime onlys definitely read up and research the manga before they go into these videos, so they can kind of feign insight, right? So they know maybe what's happening several chapters later in the anime. I mean, but they're just trying to look up spoilers and then shit it out there as insight. Oh, this might happen, that might. You kind of feel like they know what's going to happen, And I think that's the issue nowadays with a lot of adaptation of manga. The animes are never going to live up to their adaptations, but because the manga exists, people feel like they can inject value into these animes no matter how bad they are, so I feel like it's a parasitic relationship between content creators and mediocre anime nowadays, which is why we can't get adaptations of manga that is complete in its entirety out there,
Exactly.
because they don't feel that there's any value of adapting these shows, because you can't profit off it. So
Thanks for your input, because I wanted to have an anime adaptation of an anime called Holy Land by Mori Koji, which is a really good martial arts like delinquent manga, which like deconstructs like delinquent manga. But how it got me into the series is how it was written. The main character is like your Shinji beta male at first, to the point he goes so tired of being bullied it's almost to the point of suicide. Then he just stopped to himself because he has this feeling he wants to like to be stronger. So over time he bought a boxing book and studied this one basic boxing jab, to the point he did it like hundreds of times every day, and he started to like use that to start to use it to protect himself.
yeah,
And I don't want to spoil it, but over time he made some new friends as well as enemies, to the point he started to like learn new martial arts skills to improve his set. But that's not the main point. That it's not just his fighting, but also it's psychological when it comes to fighting or before fights. Like, you're freaking scared because your opponent is like stronger than you. He's more of an alpha. Like, the main character starts out a beta male, to be honest.
yeah.
Then he grows up to be an alpha, which you don't see in most modern shows at all. And don't worry, it's complete, like 19 to 20 volumes long. As well, there's this martial arts series called All Rounder Meguru by the guy who created Eden It's an Endless World, which is an obscure manga that was released in the US a while back. And it's about MMA, but it's basically a drama about these two guys and how they fit in the world around them and the like. Despite being lighter than Eden, but I have to say the drama and the characters and the writing makes me love that series a lot more too.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, people don't like to do like complete volumes, because basically You can't theory craft, you can't hype it up, because if you read the manga, you read the whole freaking series.
Yeah. And I feel like empowerment fantasy has changed now. Like, you would describing a guy who was basically a beta male, he becomes an alpha. We get just more ridiculous forms of empowerment fantasy. So, socially awkward dude and his harem, how a bunch of girls just fall into this socially awkward dude's lap. I think the empowerment fantasy has changed a lot. You know, it's evolved. No, I wouldn't say evolved, almost devolved to fit the otaku lifestyle. You know,
Yeah.
back in the day, people had a really maybe healthy lifestyle. They weren't otakus. They weren't indoors. They would be outgoing. You know, and over time, because the demographic has changed and the people writing anime and writing manga has changed now, who are otaku themselves, the empowerment fantasy within them has become more of a almost degenerate
Yeah.
kind of empowerment fantasy. It's no longer about, oh, you're the weak kid being bullied in school, which everyone goes through in their
Yeah.
childhood, you know, at some point. And now it's become, oh, I need to get out of my house. Oh, the girls don't like me. Oh shit! Like, I'm walking out my house, and now suddenly all 6 or 7 girls are just falling into my lap. Like, it's just very really, really strange and twisted and weird sort of empowerment fantasy stuff we see nowadays.
Yeah. But with that, I know some people have their fans, but with isekai, with good isekai, let me recommend a show called Escaflowne. If you heard about that one.
I mean,
Basically-
I've seen the first episode. I'm not familiar with Escaflowne.
But basically, when you should finish the series, I just like watching it, need to get back to watching it, but I really love how it was set up. Like, the main character was isekai into a world but wants to return home. But during the time, she gets caught up in a war, which is like in another world with giant robots that act like suits of armor.
Yeah.
And forgive me, people haven't watched the show in a while, but I miss isekai when it's like that, when your something went wrong and your isekai, or you and your friends got isekai'd into a different world and you want to return home. But over time, you have to live through the culture shock, you have to live through magic. I know there's like series like ReZero, but Escaflowne does it a lot better, in my opinion. Because ReZero's just like edge porn to me. That's not done right.
Yeah. I mean, when I was reacting to the first episode, Escaflowne, I was also reacting to 12 Kingdoms and a bunch of other shows, just basically earlier isekais, and I noticed that, you know, while the setup's always the same, like it's the worlds that you're transported to and the motivations of the characters and the level of culture shock has changed a lot since. So ReZero is such a almost a formulaic sort of generic looking isekai, but from what I saw of Vision of Escaflowne, the trailers, and what made me want to check out the first episode was that, you know, was that fascinating world, that it's much different from the world that you get transported from. I feel like all the melodrama of the real world nowadays of the character kind of injects itself into the world they get transported to, which is really obnoxious. I feel like the relationships and the love triangles and the harem stuff that, you know, you can clearly see nowadays.
Yeah. Another thing they don't tend to realize that much is like isekai's magical systems reminds you of a JRPG like Dragon Quest or so, but really, what happens if you isekai into a world where magic's really primitive or really alien to you? You can't even learn it because it involves with their language and their customs.
Yeah.
Which you just want to go home and whatnot. As well as, thank you, Matt, for referencing like Dubai, which is basically the first isekai, which most people don't even realize these days, that are in the West, at least, that Aurora Battle Dunbine by Yoshiyuki Tomino, that was the first isekai show. And that was a robot show. Funny. And basically this whole thing that your character dies and the like, so the main character doesn't have the feeling of returning home and having homesickness and whatnot. So that's why they put that plot point of truck kun or getting stabbed by a random dude.
Yeah.
Happens in the beginning of isekai shows, because basically it's like telling you your normal existence sucks. You cannot improve it. Normal life is lame and dull.
Yeah.
So that's why they kill you. So basically, you can't have those feelings of returning home and people miss you and whatnot. And there's no consequences of being teleported out of the blue, out of Earth, into this fantasy world.
Yeah.
And it involves
It,
what you said, like something involves around otakus and whatnot.
yeah. An escapist
Anime,
fantasy, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's a lot of anime has tons of potential of being really, really good. With you can because people these days tends to enjoy more of well written, mature series. Even the one thing I give edgeness is that people want mature written stories. Like Castlevania on Netflix. It's one of the few modern Western shows that I really enjoy. That was
Yeah.
based off a Japanese property that the directors, and the producer, Adi Shankar and Adam and Sam Dietz, really cool
Teach, yeah.
people,
And they elevated that. They
enjoy.
elevated the material. It's very rare
Yeah,
to have an adaptation elevate the material, because we so often fall short in the anime realm, right? Of adaptations
yeah,
falling short, but they actually, it's the best Castlevania narrative that you'll see is in the Netflix animated show. So they elevated it. There's a passion project. You can tell that
yeah,
there's so few great animations that when a good one pops up, you know it's a passion project. But now
yeah,
in the anime realm, they shit everything out, and everything's a derivative or carbon copy of something that came before, and it just keeps falling short. The more they kind of the more bastardized it gets. So
yeah. So basically, about Castlevania, like you said, it elevated source material. You see, before back in the day, Trevor Belmont was this forgettable dude that's
yeah,
like another Belmont, basically. That
yeah,
has no backstory, no personality, just another Belmont to kill Dracula.
yeah,
Despite him is the first one who actually killed Dracula for the second time after, or the first time after Matthias from what's that one game I can't think of my head right now, and they gave, so what Powerhouse Animation did, or the Dietz brothers did, is they gave Trevor Belmont and Sylvia personalities so
yeah,
they can stand out, because they're basically, in the original source material, they're basically like, I'm just the good guys going to defeat the evil Dracula.
yeah,
So instead, Trevor's like this burnt out, this grunted dude that makes a living of killing monsters. But he is an outcast due to the church at the time, like, ruling over everything. So in the show, it's basically showing like how the church is corrupt and how the Europe at that time is like garbage to live in, like
yeah,
Dark Age garbage to live in.
yeah. They set the
And
tone really well in that show.
yeah,
Like it's a confluence of like everything: production value,
yeah,
imagery. It's got the fan service in there. Like, it doesn't disrespect the fans, but it also doesn't disrespect newcomers to it. So it's gothic fantasy, dark
yeah,
gothic fantasy, and
yeah,
it's just really competent, man. And it just shows you that you can make a good adaptation. You see something like Castlevania, you wonder why haven't they made a good Berserk adaptation since 1997, whenever it
yeah,
came. So it can be done, right? Like we were saying before, it can be done, but it's just not doing it because people clearly don't care. If they cared, they could do it.
yeah. And the best part about it is they made Dracula into a likable character instead of like a generic baddie that resurrects every 100 years or so.
Yeah,
Like, he has a wife, he has a child, he has feelings. He tries to open his heart to humanity, but due to humans like burning his wife on a stake, due to like being mistaken for being a witch, due to like advanced science and tech at that time, that just threw him off the edge, and it made me cheer for him.
yeah,
This is how you do a villain, people. Not just make a villain that's like a perverted rapist, because that's not how you do a villain. A villain's supposed to have build-up. Like, there's one villain that he tries to help society, and society pays him back with vileness and evil. So he becomes evil and pays them back.
yeah,
Or this is really evil dude that just does actions, and he doesn't even know the consequences of his actions on others,
Yeah.
and he doesn't even care. To him, it's just it's just another Tuesday of him, and it's just another business day. Like capital, yeah.
And it's kind of embarrassing because you knew the showrunners didn't have much to go on when it came to the games in terms of writing, so they created something for these characters. Yeah. It's despicable that you basically have the blueprint for the animes now with the manga that's out there, but you still can't do that. Like you say, portray the villains as great, create fleshed out, nuanced characters when you literally have the blueprint right there. And they took games that have 1 or 2 pages of dialogue and managed to create pages and pages and pages of great characters that weren't there on the page before. You know, it's about effort, you know. And I feel like we give animators and we give writers and we give developers in gaming way too much benefit of the doubt sometimes. Yeah. When it's really them those are the creatives. They're the guys responsible for getting that product out there and letting it be the best it can be.
Yeah. And exactly, thanks Mr. Vargas for bringing up the 3D Castlevania games. Forgot about those because basically, though the first game was I watched cutscenes on YouTube and it was like an amazing story. They also elevated the source material and created their own spin-off of a Western spin-off of the Castlevania series. So that was the Netflix Castlevania was the second, but Lords of Shadow was the first.
Yeah, I think Lords of Shadow gets a really bad rep. Because like you said, the Mercury Steam, right, the Spanish studio.
Yes.
They gave Castlevania before the series even came. They gave Castlevania great emotion, weight, writing. Heavy. Not cheesy dialogue, not cheesy anime dialogue, but gravitas, right? That's what they were going for, gravitas, right? Yeah. And they did it first, and I think the animated show borrows a lot from those Lords of Shadow games. I love the Lords of Shadow games.
Yeah, especially with the Belmont crest that originated from Lords of Shadow as well.
It did.
And how some of its characters were written. Probably the Dietz brothers, if they're watching this, they're probably going to say, "Yep, we're inspired by Lords of Shadow as well as the Konami games."
Yeah.
And actually, before Castlevania Netflix, the series was basically dead.
Yeah.
Due to Konami not caring about their IPs, let alone gaming anymore, despite their IPs costing them millions and millions of dollars, because in Japan and worldwide they are very valuable. And fans of those of the Castlevania games showed their love with Castlevania Netflix.
Yeah. And
despite being a Western-made show, and people call it an anime because it's very anime-inspired and Japanese roots and whatnot. Seriously, it gets every season gets better and better, despite having a bit problems here and there. But I really love the show. I even have 2 Funko Pops, which some people don't like Funko Pops.
Oh, I have Funkos, yeah.
Yeah, and even though I got some merchandise, a book bag as well for dirt cheap, I just love the show in general. It's a good written show on Netflix. It's one of the few things that's actually you're worth subscribed to, besides your various anime on it at times. But
I think there's a lot of creativity in Japan. It's just they're stifled by their own business practices. This goes for games and anime.
Yeah, it's they're. He gave a good point. Say that again about Japanese business practices stifle creativity over there.
Yeah, they stifle creativity. I think Japan has the most creative potential in the world for fiction. The sheer themes and things that they just surface level explore is actually a lot better than anywhere else in the world. It's just the business practices stifle that creativity. The producers, the editors, the money, that's in that industry, the crunch obviously that they have over there, animators, the motivation, so all these people growing up with otaku anime become otakus, get into the anime industry, perpetuate the otaku mentality, and because they're not getting paid enough, because all these guys just want to get into the industry, get their foot into the industry, they're just shitting out anime, right? They're workhorses now. There's no people joining projects for passion. Yeah. Which is why now the West has to literally rip the IP away from the hands of the Japanese and go, look, we'll do it because we give a shit, Yeah. Because we grew up with that culture shock. We respect what you do. We know what you do better than you do now. So that's why you get something like Castlevania. And I
Yeah,
think maybe Berserk, we could even get a good Berserk adaptation from the
Berserk
West.
anime just had to go ask Kentaro Mora and his editor, the rights Powerhouse. Listen to me. Just go to go if you find Kentaro Mora's contact information, please contact his editor and him and arrange a deal so he can make a Berserk anime the right way.
Yeah,
Even though it's just like take it from like the Black Swordsman arc and the other arcs. The Golden Age arc was already done.
yeah.
We don't need another Age era Golden Age arc anymore. That's already been perfected by 97 and its movies in the 2000s or so. And also what Matt Whedon said about Castlevania, about the Vampire Wars of 1999. Really, Powerhouse should be the ones doing it. As a sequel of Castlevania, after like Trevor Belmont destroyed Castlevania for the first time, and then make the sequel like a time skip to 1999 as Julius Belmont. That would be a great idea, so it can wrap up the Castlevania story.
Yeah.
You agree with that part?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was going to just say that, and it's even more embarrassing that a lot of these studios nowadays, Japanese studios, but Western studios as well, outsource their, like even Avatar, I think that was the case, and the Castlevania, where they outsourced some of the animation to Korean animators and Korean studios. So even Korea is now using this kind of vacuum left now to fill it, right? To show them that, look, we give a crap and we know how to animate Sakuga now. These Sakuga moments that Castlevania had, it was obviously a co-production between Powerhouse Studios and some Korean animators that they outsourced to, right? To get it really, really nice in a serial show, not just a film. They got film quality animation in a serialized show. Japan has to look at this now and go, look, they're stealing all our business now, so we need to step up now.
We need to step up our game. Like China too. Like you see some like China, like Bao Zhao, whatever it's called, or Chinese cartoons, modern Chinese cartoons. The animation looks beautiful, man. It's like we say like whoa, we need to step up our game now because we got some competition.
Yeah.
Because basically Japan needs to freaking wake up and says, holy shit, we need to like step our game up now. Like we need to treat our adaptations like seriously because they're going to kick our butts now. Yeah. And also with hold on.
You got really passionate there, Omega.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, David, I agree. It's all about commercial viability, you know. And then there's plus Funimation and Crunchyroll have entered the business now, and they're in the business of making anime now. So it's all about the bottom line and profit, I feel, you know. So things will get cancelled. If it's not profitable, they get cancelled. They do things the same way Netflix does it. If it's not popular after a month, we'll cancel it, you know. Which is why viewers have a memory of like 2 weeks when it comes to what's relevant and what isn't. As soon as an anime is 2 weeks out from finished, they just go, oh fuck it, you know. It's the hype phase that people want, really, I think. Like mental illnesses, they're a squad. Or we can monetize mental. That's also true. Sunday, mental illness there, Kunde, yeah. I agree with you, man. It's just to appeal to everyone left who they haven't, you know, the dollar, right? The socially awkward dollar, the people of color dollar, that, you know, anyone marginalized, let's grab that dollar. But they won't like, you know, I'm sure this matters to you, David, but the depiction of black people in anime, that's also another thing. It's been laughable, almost laughable, the depiction of black people in anime, and people always trying to forgive it. It's Japan, fam, it's Japan. But you know, Akasan, a popular YouTuber, influencer, right? He's done few videos on just the way people treat black people in Japan, you know, and it's like an alien walking among them, taking pictures like they've never seen it, right? And that's a similar way they treat black people in anime as well. And we've seen comical, really racist caricatures of anime, you know, black people in anime, you know, Popo in Dragon Ball, and we had a few other animes where it's just been laughable, man. So Japan has to move with the times. Their business practice is still stuck in this feudal era Japan where it's all about honor and superstition, and we don't want to move on, man, from this. Hey, but then on the other hand, you have all those idol bullshit with generic music, and they put it like it's the best next thing. I think people look too much into it. I don't necessarily mind guilty pleasure anime. I think there is a place for it, but you could kind of replace that with almost anything. Almost anything, I wouldn't want to overthink these guilty pleasure shows and say they're 10 out of 10 objectively for this writing, for this and that and that. Usually it's a product, they put it out, makes you feel good for a little while, and you move on to the next one. Like I feel, yeah, you're correct. It's all that idol bullshit, the moe, the harem, the lolly stuff. You can appreciate that. Like, if you like it, you like it. I'm not going to dispute that. But to say it's objectively better than this, you have to articulate that, and people find it really difficult to articulate. It's all about feeling. I like it, I feel good about it, it's this, man, and you're just a hater. I don't know where Mega's gone, man. But thank you, Matt and David, man, for being here, because I can at least like fill out time, man. To each their own, man. You like what you like, dislike what you dislike. I feel like as long as you're not pushing it on people, so then you just feel like there's an agenda, and they outnumber us. The people who watch that 90% of the trash anime outnumber us, and people like us and other people who just are more picky, more selective. There's nothing wrong in being picky and selective. Yeah, but using most of their money on that instead of using their money on actual art. Yeah, it's a cycle, right? Circular almost. What makes the money feeds the next thing that makes the money, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. I hope they look at Castlevania. I hope they look at Netflix numbers on Castlevania adaptations and go, look, shit, this is making money. Maybe we need some of that money again as well. Let's start seeing if we can do this thing. Which is why Vinland Saga. We haven't bought Vinland Saga, right? I would encourage you guys to watch Vinland Saga, because that's one of the few good seinen adaptations that's come out in recent years. Like, for me personally, as someone who's picky, I thought, damn, that's a damn good anime. And a lot of people say, oh, it's not that amazing, but honestly, in this kind of market right now, with seinens barely getting anything good apart from CG adaptations, right? Like Blame, Ghost in the Shell going full CG now, Kingdom got full CG, Berserk full CG. The fact that a show like Vinland Saga came out is actually a once in a blue moon sort of thing. No, the audio hasn't cut out. Omega's gone off somewhere. I have no clue where Omega's gone, man. I think he just had to rush off. But yeah, I'm still here if you want to talk about something. I never thought I'd have to just take over Omega's podcast like this. Maybe something came up. Yeah, so I was talking about Vinland Saga, and how some people may say it's not like amazing, like a 10 out of 10 anime, but I feel like in times like these where you don't get good seinen adaptations, it's an outlier, honestly. Oh yeah, Vinland Saga, Vinland Saga, Saga. Yeah, it's a Viking anime. Or rather, it's a Viking manga that's been adapted into an anime. We had one season so far, but season 2 got announced recently. So yeah, it's fantastic. That is. We were supposed to go about talk about gaming, and Meg was saying maybe we'll move on to gaming now. Pluto, I'm waiting for Naoki Urasawa's Pluto adaptation. We were supposed to get it this year, and I'm pretty sure COVID kind of delayed that. That's also why I think I'm drawn towards Naoki Urasawa's work. He was hugely influenced by Osamu Tezuka, right? Hugely influenced by him. So I just gravitated towards Naoki Urasawa's work. I feel the people he grew up on was almost the people I kind of grew up on, because I grew up on Astro Boy. I wasn't really a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, even though I appreciate the influence that Dragon Ball Z has. Yeah, the original old Speed Racer cartoon, and yeah, like I was saying, Astro Boy. Are you familiar with an anime called Welcome to the NHK, David? I think what we're talking about are neat otaku culture. I think Welcome to the NHK anime, and whatever the source material is just a great anime depicting why anime is the way it is now. Because people like the protagonist of Welcome to the NHK are the ones making the manga and the animes today. So it's reflective of their lifestyles. I think that's a great anime you should watch. I don't know what Mega's doing, man. Where is he going? He hasn't even messaged me. To hell with GT or Dragon Ball GT. Okay, I actually fell asleep to Dragon Ball GT. Yeah, a lot of people. It's the same with Yu-Gi-Oh GX. They always do this. It's like Boruto, Yu-Gi-Oh GX, Dragon Ball GT. They just totally forget what it was that made the show good and try to appeal to a younger demographic. I hate that. I hate when they do that. What, Goku goes to university or some shit. I don't even know how to reach a Mega right now. I don't have a mobile number that I could buzz him on. I don't think messaging on Twitter would make a difference because he's not at his computer. Those were milking franchise. Yeah, all milking. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh. Sorry, not Yu-Gi-Oh. Beyblade. It went full CG. I was like, I can't be bothered with this anymore. I like the original 2D Beyblade. The Pokemon animes also fucking went downhill, man. Nothing quite recaptured the feeling of the old, I want animes like Bubblegum Crisis or Gunsmith, Cats Back. Probably very little chance, man, nowadays. They were dragging the milk out of those pools. I mean, these people are one-hit wonders. Like Akira Toriyama is one-hit wonder, man, with Dragon Ball. Kishimoto's, we saw with Samurai 8, right? Kishimoto really is a one-hit wonder with Naruto. Oda's gonna be the same. The guy's not gonna do any work beyond One Piece. Anything of note beyond One Piece. Tite Kubo also. Maybe, I guess we'll see how the anime goes. Burn the Witch, right? Seems to be popular now. But beyond Bleach, I don't think he's gonna be doing anything. But look at Urasawa's work. Look how many great mangas Urasawa's done. He's not a one-hit wonder. It wasn't Monster was his magnum opus. Some people say 20th Century Boy's magnum opus. Some people say Pluto was amazing. Some say Billy Bat's fucking amazing. All these shonen fucking writers are one-hit wonders. They will never go on to make anything quite as good as they did with their kind of first stuff. Well, they don't let him finish. I mean, you can blame the editors, but like, there's the proof is in the pudding, right? What they've done and what other people have done, That's why Urasawa was so respected. He just like put his hand on multiple different projects and just created gold, man. about the whole talk of Evangelion, I can at least offer my viewpoint by saying I love the series greatly. While it had faults, the character exploration and action scenes were its greatest strength. Yeah, it was an experience. It's an anime you should experience at least once. I think End of Evangelion makes that whole franchise a 10 out of 10 for me. That's the factory like we were talking about earlier. One thing gets popular is milking time. Yeah. Boruto is getting milked the fuck out of. They're like, oh, Naruto dies. Let's milk this fucking anime for like a slice of life for like God knows how many episodes. Stupid. They're all products, man. Fuck it, man. This is why I'm so picky, and people blame me for being picky. I say, look, you want to watch anime? If there's only 5 out of 100 good anime, that doesn't mean I have to watch the other 95 just because I've run out. It doesn't mean I can't wait for something good to come along, you know? So it's okay to be picky, you know? People say, oh, why aren't you watching it, man? Why are you so picky for? Why are you a hater for? Why aren't you watching this moe fucking harem nonsense or lolly crap? Or why aren't you watching underage girls with fucking pussy bulges dance around and stuff? Why aren't you watching this stuff? I'm like, nah, I don't have to. I don't have to compromise my standard. Everyone can have their standard. Your standard, my standard. You know, I don't have to compromise on my standard, and I'm good, man. I'm good. And just the designs as well with these fucking moe shows, man. You could switch the wigs. You could take the wig off one and put it on someone else, and they'd be the same damn character. Yeah, Mega, what happened?
Sorry, I'm back, dude.
Yeah, I was wondering where you were. I had to carry the conversation, so.
You had to pray still. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
So, where are we at now?
I mean, do you want to talk about games now, or do you still have more topics about anime? I was talking with the chat right now about modern anime.
Yeah, with modern games, I got a whole lot, dude. Like basically, most of them kind of suck.
I'm different on that with you. I feel like that's the only time I kind of break that rule where I feel retro isn't necessarily better than modern. I feel like if you had indie games and the like kind of resurgence of the AA games coming back, I think we're really sport for choice. Honestly, we're sport for choice on the games we have. I think it's just a case of discovering them. Not everyone can have a good PC, every console, right? So it's a lot difficult for people to find everything that's great, and plus you've got these unfettered marketplaces where good games don't necessarily rise to the top. It takes a little while for the you've got Hades, 13 Sentinels, you've got Shovel Knights, you've got all these kind of little games coming to the fore. Demon Souls was completely obscure until Dark Souls came along, and it was kind of proliferated on multiple consoles. So I feel like we're sport for choice nowadays. I don't necessarily feel people's taste has got better though, which is a big issue, I feel.
Yeah, they pretend they may have more easier games.
Yeah,
normally I'm not into the hype games anymore. It used to be back in the day, but not anymore.
Yeah,
more
I think the AAA is where the issue is. Particularly the AAA market for video games is where the issues are. It's all spectacle and lack of depth, or something like Mass Effect that started off very hardcore JRPG focused, streamlined. The visuals got better. It's like Final Fantasy. The visuals have got better. The action has got better, but the depth has got progressively worse, right? Particularly if you look at the new Final Fantasy, like we don't know really what it's going to be about, but it looks like a freaking Devil May Cry game. I'm like, where is what made Final Fantasy great in this?
Yeah, because Final Fantasy used to be great till one is greater left, and also when they started streaming, get away from like the traditional fantasy to like the whole futuristic science fantasy vibe.
Yeah. They don't want just the JRPG dollar. They want the action game dollar. They want the AAA dollar. So I said this when I first saw the FF16 trailer. It feels like a game made by committee. It was just a hodgepodge of ideas smashed together. Edgy emo protagonist, medieval setting, Devil May Cry action, typical generic ice location, forest location, just the typical formulaic thing. And then somebody decided to mash it together and make it for mass appeal, like broad international mass appeal. Final Fantasy losing the culture shock now. It's like It's like Final Fantasy 15. It's like a boy band on a road trip to a safari park. Like, what would
Dude, I
you
miss
know?
Versus 13, dude. Let's not get into that.
Yeah. I don't really trust Nomura as a director as much. Well, not trust, but I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt until he's created something of his own, you know, and it's
Caliber
out
without being
there.
interrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that you heard of Lane before, right?
Serial Experiment Lane.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it though. I need to
Yeah.
watch it.
You should, because basically it's like one of those rare animes that you tend to. It depends on the person who's watching, because it's like very odd when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard it's a very sort of esoteric sort
Avant-garde.
of, yeah, sort of show,
Yeah.
which kind of mind fuckery kind of thing going on. That and Texenalize, those two animes
Yeah.
always get recommended together.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a trilogy. Forgot the third one, but
Yeah.
really, like, it's like tending to chase the trends now instead of creating something like those type of shows, which is like basically, dude, look at real life right now. You can tend
Yeah.
to actually focus on like something out of real life and just make a show out of basically those elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, another example, Ergo Proxy is another show that is fantastic. You know, cyberpunk dystopian, but it always respects the audience's intelligence.
Yeah.
They want the audience to put things together, to be engaged. Like, I think a good anime invites you to think about it and put the pieces together. Now everything's explained or spelled out, you know,
Like an
all
idiot.
about. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that one idiot character in that one scene that somebody explains it to them.
Yeah, exactly. Or stupid exposition. Like
Yeah.
you sit down at that's one issue I had with Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
He kind of reined it in Chimera Ant arc, but Togashi had to really over explain Nen, like to the point where he sat down two characters in a really critical moment, and the guy sat down and had to explain what this was. So I remember the scene between Killua and Gon, and Killua sat Gon down at a table and explained what every one of his little rings and his chains were and what power it had. I was like, this is really bogging the storytelling down now. You know,
Yeah.
let the audience kind of try and figure out what's going on, and I feel like that improved over time. But not every shonen anime does that, you know.
Nope. I remember when shonen shows don't tend to get like overpowered and whatnot. I put like my DBZ style action, but come on, man, you have to explain stuff every like arc.
I mean, that's like why Fullmetal Alchemist is great. It just explains what the conceit is of whatever power system they have, right? Like equivalent exchange, alchemy, equivalent exchange. That's it. You never really have to think about it. You're actually more focused about the characters and the story. When your fucking power scaling becomes the story, then you've basically lost the viewer, unless you're a viewer that only cares about who's more powerful than this guy. Can this guy beat that guy? It's like Seven Deadly Sins season 2. They brought in the numbered power scaling system, and I thought, okay, this is cool in a Dragon Ball Z sort of way, but what is this adding to the story of the characters? Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
DB, that's one problem I have with DB Super, because basically it's like same formula of Dragon Ball again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like basically I have a problem because it tends to focus on the battle system instead of its world setting, and they forgot about the characters too.
Yeah.
That you build up, but you forgot.
Yeah.
Or the power system like tends to be overdone to the point it's like very cliche.
Yeah, very, very, yeah.
It doesn't tend to have consequences or impact of society whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like Fullmetal Alchemist you brought up. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. Sorry, I thought you had a point, like a talking point that you were gonna.
Okay, thank you. So, anyways, like imagine if we have this stuff today, and we have this special power. What will people mostly do? Mostly do it for evil purposes. So that's why you have like the one branch that polices those sort of crimes, and approves them to being state-approved alchemists.
Yeah.
So basically, they're the police force when it comes to alchemy crimes and whatnot. So So I'm surprised most shonen anime don't even do that.
Yeah.
Like, don't people do crimes in real life to get easy money and whatnot? That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like for me, the former alchemist. Usually, you have very painted heroes and villains, right? In this show, really, the show is about like the bad guys, but bad guys after they've won, almost. So it's almost like
Yeah,
a Man in the High Castle, right? The
yeah,
show, the Amazon show. But you're seeing it from their perspective, right? And
yeah,
but like you were bringing up, why don't they make shows about our real life, like our real life right now?
yeah,
Is perfect inspiration for that. And I feel Full Metal Alchemist is a show that's very inspired by the world right now. Like I feel like it's
yeah,
so like evergreen, right, ahead of its time, where we've got racial divide more than ever, we've got political divide more than ever. We've got this whole obsession with the science and the secularism, and the West and the East is constantly in turmoil and fighting
yeah.
religious wars and everything. And for
Like the
me,
Dark
FMAB,
Ages.
yeah, like the Dark Age, and for me, FMAB will always be topical and always be relevant for that. And the Mistress is like the police, like you say, they're policing the world, like America. Even a Mistress
Yeah,
reminds me of America, and.
yeah, yep. Not even a critique on that.
Yeah, I could not critique beyond what I just said. Like, it's just such a
Yeah,
great show, FMAB.
yeah, exactly. Still classic to this day. Still
Yeah.
looking for those DVDs on a good price.
Yeah. I mean,
Both
I
the
have the
original
Blu-ray,
and
but it took me
Brotherhood.
years to buy it, like, at a decent price, because they're too
Yeah,
expensive now. These
yeah,
Blu-rays are way too expensive.
yeah. You have to find them on Amazon or Best Buy or what's that one store? Forgot the name of the moment. Just wait for a holiday sale and then go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the gaming industry, they tend to focus on money instead
Yeah.
of making a good game. There's some great games like Titanfall 2 and Spider-Man, PS4.
Yeah.
Great games. Like they don't bore the player with filler and padding. They reward you for playing the game not just with skill, but also with costumes and the like. You know what I'm talking? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I
And
feel like they reward you with obviously cosmetics, but I feel like for those games in particular, the gameplay is king, right?
yeah,
And I've always I kind of never believed it before because I was such a big JRPG fan, where the story mattered most to me. But over the years, I've discovered gameplay really is king because
yeah,
I played games like Control, right? And I thought,
hmm
damn, like gameplay really matters. I don't think a game can be undone by bad gameplay, but a
yeah,
game can't necessarily be undone by poor
hmm
story as long as the gameplay is good. So,
yeah,
like you say, these are really fun passion project games. The games were good; they weren't just a license, or they would just want a cash grab sequel, right? But
yeah,
now we get walking simulators, and everything has to be 40-minute cutscenes. And if the story is good, then it's a 10 out of 10 game. Like you got
yeah,
IGN, Last of Us 2, 10. I'm like, the gameplay got boring after 20 hours, and I kind of quit that game after
yeah.
21 to 25 hours, and I was like,
Halfway through the game, at
yeah,
least you made it to halfway through the game.
yeah,
I prefer the
exactly.
first one,
Yeah, I
and
prefer
the
the
second one
first one.
doesn't sit. Doesn't want doesn't it doesn't exist. The second one.
Yeah, it,
It's
it
like
didn't
Resident
respect the
Evil
time.
done right,
Yeah,
except for part two, ruined it.
yeah. And I didn't even care about the story. For me, for Last of Us 2, story was fine. It's just it didn't respect my time. The gameplay just got dep- like it just made me anxious. Like 21 hours in, I'm just doing pretty much the same thing. This dark corridor showing this zombie. It just didn't change it up enough. It changed it up once in the first like 5 hours where they give you a semi-open world, and after that it just became a linear corridor. You running from this place and this. I just got tired of that game, honestly. And that's when I discovered, like, you know what, I need good gameplay, like just fun gameplay,
Yeah,
like swinging through
buildings.
Spider-Man's world was just
Yeah,
fun. That alone was fun, let
yeah.
alone the story as
Collecting all
well.
the stuff, which is normally boring,
Yeah,
that is fun.
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but seriously, people forgot how to make a good product.
They have.
It's
They have.
it's forgot how to make a good book. They've got to make a good anime. They've got how to make a good cartoon show. They've got how to make a movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen movies from the 40s, Hollywood or Bollywood? They tend to be
I've
better
seen a
when
few Bollywood. I haven't seen many from Hollywood in the 40s, but I've
Yeah.
seen a few. Yeah.
but basically they tend to have more time with its characters and setting. It's like very story driven, very like character driven plots that were well shot,
Yeah.
and yet they don't tend to like treat its audience like crap. Like they don't explain stuff. They don't have over dramatic moments. It's
Yeah.
like you're watching someone's life,
Yeah.
and a conversation is a movie scene.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. This is something I was actually thinking about the other day. If you look at some of the unanimously agreed upon best movies of all time, none of them have production values. Hardly any of them have amazing big budget CG production value to them. They're literally character stories about some guy going from A to B, conversations, character dramas. None of these big budget, overinflated, summer tentpole movies will go down as classics, like in that sense, because all these films that get revered as like the best of all time, these are all very, very character focused, right? Like you say, the 40s were like two guys talking for ages. Akira Kurosawa has like black and white movies where it's just literally people in a room huddled together talking, right? So these are the shows that are going to withstand the test of time. The writing, the characters. Now everything's been exchanged in favor of budgets and spectacle. Like if you have to throw $200,000 to $600 million at a film now, so you can get a big name to be attached to it. So you got to show production value in there. You got to do CG and spectacle and keep the audience engaged, whose kind of attention span has gone down now. And that's why you're getting less and less of these classic movies, man. They've forgotten about, like you say, they've forgotten about character, story.
How you direct, how you do a story. I wrote a novel before, and it wasn't the best novel or the best story, but it tends to focus on character and respect. If you've heard of Star Wars, right, with its space battles.
Oh yeah, I love
Star Wars. You don't even know how to do a space battle anymore. Like everything's like all like ace combat and whatnot. Unlike Legend of Galactic Heroes, like it's like basically ship warfare.
Yeah, it's just a clusterfuck now. Space battles, like just lasers flying. You can't follow. You don't know who you're following at any given time. It's just a giant clusterfuck of CG effects just mashed together. Not Death Star. Sorry, Millennium Falcon just zipping around, moving around like someone's just got like a pointer and just scribbling on the screen to let it move. There's no sense of weight anymore. This is why I like Pacific Rim, right? Like to bring back to the point of mecha and giant robot anime.
Yeah.
If you compare Pacific Rim 1 to 2, Guillermo del Toro was so adamant on the weight of the robots, feeling the weight of every movement, every punch, the heft of these robots, that you could believe that these were giant robots and they had weight to them. When they did fucking Pacific Rim 2, these felt like video game characters that were like hollow these mecha robots that were hollow inside. There's no weight to them, there's no heft to them. They were zipping around like fucking some cartoon or something. So you never really felt like you were in there with the characters inside the mecha, the giant robots, right? And this is what Hollywood's forgotten. Like it's all ease now, all CG, all ease. He built real sets for Pacific Rim 1 where Charlie Hunnam's character was like moving the mech inside. That was a real set. But it's just like fucking anime. Like they fall upon digital and CGI to fucking just fill out these shows and put wafer thin characterism and they shit out this movie. The anime industry has the same problem as the Hollywood industry. Same issue. TV, I would say, is actually stepping up now to fill in those kind of voids between production value and characterization.
He definitely gave out a good point, because basically they don't know how to make a good product. Like everything's so easy to make, but they don't know how to utilize the tech. I remember when Super Nintendo games and people were pushing that console to the limits.
They were, yeah.
With Terra Enigma to Tales of Fantasia.
Yeah. Even Star Fox, I think there was a version of Star Fox that was just really cutting edge that never got released and got released on
SNES Classic?
SNES Classic, yeah, recently.
Star Fox 2.
Yeah, Star Fox 2, yeah. So like that was what they were pushing it to, man. Like
Yeah, so yeah, I'm a big Star Fox fan. That's why I know some of that Star Fox stuff. I
Yeah, I've
love
never
Star
been much
Fox
of a fan,
story.
but by through through reputation, I kind of heard about that. So
Yeah, Star Fox 64, amazing. Like it has a simple to you're a bunch of mercenaries hired by a peaceful government to handle a threat known as the Andros Empire, led by Andros, a former scientist of Corneria that actually went rebelled against its leaders for the sake of power. Due to like General Pepper banished Andros, so Andros wants revenge. So U.S. Star Fox hired by the Cornerian army to deal with the Andros threat. That was basically what Star Fox is.
yeah,
How I loved it is its gameplay of 64 and the character reactions during the gameplay, which I
yeah,
always enjoyed. Which you don't they tend to not do that, like characters bickering each other during gameplay or your performance.
yeah. I mean, I think character banter is just an art now, man. Like
Yeah.
in stuff like I know Tales games do banter really well. You got JRPGs don't tend to always do banter too well, but
Yeah.
having that camaraderie, right? In
Yeah.
in the heat of battle during the gameplay, you can build so much between characters by
Yeah.
not having it be a 40-minute cutscene. You rather just
Yeah.
have a exchange between two characters. So
Yeah. Or nor the bad guys actually talk with the characters, interacting with them while you're
yeah,
attacking them.
yeah,
Or like talking smack when you're actually being horrible with gameplay and whatnot.
yeah,
Or them being
exactly.
afraid. Like enemies are like basically sponges instead of actually like actual people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I assume that you might have had a list of things that you wanted to talk about, get through.
Yeah, I'll start about that one time. I had some stuff to do.
Yeah.
And intendedly, I need to take a break on social media, to be honest, after this.
Yeah, it
Just
can
get a
get
break
really
on it
heavy.
because, yeah,
Yeah.
get like, it can get to, like, I need to, like, take a break from it. I'm sorry about the cursing, though.
Yeah, I should avoid like
Yeah,
you're Muslim, I'm Muslim, right? Like
yeah,
one of our well, I would say one of my vices is the swearing, man. Like I only swear when I get heated and passionate, man.
yeah,
But otherwise, talking to nice people, I don't
yeah,
necessarily like swearing. But there's
yeah,
so much to get angry about, man. That
yeah,
social media is a big boon, right? I feel
yeah.
as part of that. So
Changes people, including
yeah,
ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, just like, yeah. Like, besides that, before I left, what I was got really passionate about, really, it's like they don't know how to do crap anymore.
Yeah,
I'm doing it not out of hating it now, but we need to like we need to step up on production values because the movie theater, even though I prefer watching stuff on home video sometimes, but they're not. You don't wonder why they're not making movies anymore? It's not
yeah,
COVID.
yeah,
It's ready. COVID's just like the gun that fired the bullets.
yeah,
Else, the bullets are the problems that people
yeah.
ignored, and COVID's
Exactly.
just the pistol firing the guns, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
It's all due to like problems that piled up, and COVID was the finishing blow.
yeah.
We're
It
seeing all
really
a
was.
domino effect, and we're not seeing any more movies
Yeah, it
because they're
makes you
too. Yeah,
like COVID has kind of exposed to people that a lot of the films that we would normally go watch in cinemas, we really don't mind watching at home. There's very
yeah,
few people like Christopher Nolan who actually want to make movies that make you want to go to cinema. Like Tenet came
yeah,
out, I don't know how good it did,
yeah.
but
My dad hated it.
he hated it. Yeah, I mean, but at least the guy still tries to get people into the cinemas, the theaters
Yeah,
for a big experience. But everything else, I was like, you know what, I could miss this. I don't really want to go
yeah.
out to watch this film in cinema. Even Disney now is moving to television, Disney
Boring.
Plus,
Yeah,
and so cinemas and Cineworld's gone now in the UK. Cineworld, the chain of cinemas, is completely
dead.
dead now. Yeah, so
Yeah, exactly. And yes, we need to like, start off with some stuff to make our own entertainment because we got the tech now. We got a laptop.
yeah,
I got a excuse me here. You see this blue microphone here?
yeah,
We got this.
yeah,
And I'm just running the podcast with just that. I
yeah,
have no budget. So that's like a $45 budget.
yeah,
Plus the laptop, yeah. It's a small budget.
yeah,
And some people, yeah, we need to get started by we need to start a Discord channel, which I'm going to do soon.
Yeah.
and I need to invite people on it and start to help it grow. Even though I don't do Discord at all, to be honest, because it's complex to use.
I mean, that's a way of any great initiative starting, right? Pooling a bunch of people together with a similar mindset and like
Yeah.
ethic, right? And,
Mhm.
and get using that talent to create something new. I mean, I'm totally right with you, man. It's like this whole Sam Dietz, right?
Yeah.
Dietz brothers situation. They were like, you know, we're gonna get together. We're gonna bring a bunch of people in Texas together.
Yeah.
We're gonna, and make this and see if it's done. And they did, man. And it's a similar
Yeah.
thing. If you're disenfranchised, if you're jaded with the current culture, then you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution, right? So
Yeah.
bringing people together, creating people together to make the things that
Make
you want to
something.
see, Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have a group of single-minded people like you and build something out of it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's like a community or so. It's time now. We have the tech to do it now. We don't have to have like these big budgeted films and whatnot because they're kind of losing. They just want their money.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah.
I agree with capitalism and all, but it's not capitalism. It's freaking greed.
Yeah, it's greed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think voting with your dollars is so important now. Now that people are unwilling to fork over their money for things, they rather wait now. And even in the console cycle, they're conceding that we can't just move everyone over to PS5 or Xbox Series X, right? Because we need to bring these games to current consoles because people are not gonna waste fucking $500-$600 during COVID.
Yeah.
And people are more discerning now. So we need to create quality to bring people where they are. So
Yeah.
voting with your dollars doesn't matter. I don't think boycotting helps as much, but if you don't buy something that you don't believe in, then that's gonna hurt them,
Yeah.
And instead they're gonna start looking, okay, what do people really want, and they're gonna start listening because they're not listening right now. They're just looking at money, the bottom line, the profit
And
margin,
also the trends,
trends. Yeah.
which is sometimes wrong what people actually wanted. Like for one run like Star Wars, it's in a rut right now. Besides the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
but they don't know how Star Wars works anymore. What they should
Yeah.
do is like reboot the series.
They should.
Reboot the series and do some actual research why Star Wars was loved
Yeah.
and how the Force works and how and the like what made it good again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I keep asking this question like to everyone and people I talk to, and no one has really got an answer. It's like, does being woke in entertainment even give you more money? I don't feel that virtue signaling
No.
and being woke
Waste
gets
of
you
time.
more money. It doesn't. There's no link between that
Yeah.
stuff and being more profitable. Look how hated Star Wars is. I know it made money to spite itself, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make the quality of the product better. And it's just it's as profitable as it's always been. So it's not like more money you're getting because you're woke and all your stuff. So
Yeah. But basically, like you said, like woke is just a way for power and to please people.
yeah,
Like tell them, oh, I agree with your political beliefs, now buy our stuff or support us, or you're not one of us and I don't care.
yeah,
That's not how you treat your customers.
exactly.
You just try to be neutral and sell them a product.
Yeah,
You know, if a mercenary, like a weapon seller in the middle of a civil war, is like, he can't be involved with their politics. He has to make money.
yeah,
He has to take advantage of the situation to make the money. So he cannot get involved with the people too much. So he's always in the shadows or something like that.
you gotta
And
play
like,
both sides, right?
Yes.
So, yeah,
why no one makes stories about that anymore? About a weapons salesman that's like actually takes advantage of a war and actually gets away with it at the end.
I remember the only one I remember is Lord of War, right, with the Nicolas Cage film with him and that obnoxious actor. I forgot his name. From 30 Seconds to Mars, the lead singer. But he's an actor. But yeah, Lord of War was one film Nicolas Cage did, which is literally about an arms dealer. I think doing arms dealer films nowadays can be a bit sensitive because the kind of conflicts that you did. Actually, Blood Diamond, right? DiCaprio film was a kind of something like that.
I love that film. A mercenary. The main character is a mercenary, and the other main character is a father that gets tangled with war and whatnot. Now it changed his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great film.
it's difficult to pick us. I guess when you're looking at it from the mercenary perspective, you can make it neutral, but
Yeah,
I think people have a really sensitive now to conflicts depicted in cinema and everything. Like,
yeah,
you know, Jared Leto. That's it. Yeah, Jared Leto.
yeah, yeah. People need to study actual good entertainment. What was good entertainment, and study off of that.
Yeah,
Which people like anime people like tend to watch anime, and even though many directors say study the pros, study cinema,
yeah,
like Mamoru Oshii,
yeah.
study cinema.
Man, see, this is a point I really want to like. You hit it on the head, man. Like, you read my mind. Like, I love film. I love anime. I love TV. I love anime. But I love film more than anything. Like, you see cinematic influence, right? Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
Mamoru, cinematic influence in everything. People don't want to acknowledge it, right? But whether it be TV, whether it be anime, things like this, they all have cinematic influence that you can recognize. Like, they've all borrowed techniques from cinema, and people often like to disconnect the two. But I
Yeah.
feel like without cinema out there, you would not have the greatness that is half these things.
Yeah.
Star Wars is a property hugely influenced by, Hidden Fortress by Kurosawa, or even take Last of Us 2 for video games. Neil Druckmann says it's inspired by Cormac McCarthy's The Road, the book, and it's inspired by Children of Men. The whole visual design of Last of Us isn't inspired by the book, it's inspired by the film. And the Children of Men film, the whole visual aesthetic of Last of Us is clearly inspired by Children of Men. So to disconnect cinematic influence, and a lot of these anime fucking weebs who just like shit on like film, the film's influence on Japan, and how Japan didn't learn anything from the West. It's all unique, and it's the best. And I'm like, no, like you say, the Mahmoud Oshis, the Miyazakis of the world, right?
Yeah.
The Arnos, right? They're all acknowledging that their cinematic influence were Hollywood movies, Blade Runner, plenty of Western stuff. So, to completely discount it, but weebs discounting it, I really think is disingenuous.
Yeah. Exactly. Like they tend to follow each other and look at it now. It tends to only target weebs.
Yeah.
The simple, basic tropes
Otaku
all
is
over
the one.
again.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
I don't
wrong to
mind
want
that.
wholesome messages, challenging material,
Yes.
without descending into fan service and lewd or crass, or you can make good fiction without descending into these, lowest common denominator aspects of stuff, like just spectacle, just fan service, lewdness, all this stuff. You can make quality entertainment without, injecting all this stuff, which people now accept as, oh, it's Japan. The harem stuff is Japan. The sexualization underage girls is Japan. It's not inherently that, You're just injecting it because the otakus are making it for otakus. It's almost like for us, by us. They don't care about making it for, a more discerning audience. So.
Yeah. Which is like Westerners are really easy to please at the end of the day.
They are. It was like the critics. It's all like the film critics back in the day, giving anything that was foreign a nomination or a 10 out of 10 because it was exotic and foreign, and they used to speak really pretentious. They were so easy to impress,
Yeah. But many Japanese directors and otakus don't seem to realize that.
Yeah.
We need normies to help the industry grow.
Yeah.
And number two, we're easy to impress. Just give us a good story.
Exactly.
Like,
We're like the
example.
swing voters, right? Like you have in America. Swing voters matter. So we're the swing voters, and we matter as well. So.
Yeah. You heard of a movie called Man from Nowhere? It's a Korean film.
Yeah, I've seen Man from Nowhere. I love that film.
Same here.
Yeah.
I like how the film was shot, and it's a simple premise about a dude that gets involved with this little girl who was always visits him like almost every day, like a father figure.
Yeah, and they're harvesting body parts from children, right? Yeah.
From children, as well as the crimes in South Korea and whatnot.
Yeah.
And dude, the fight scenes were incredible in that, and I never saw something like that before. It was kind of shocking when I first saw it.
Yeah.
This was after your Protectors and your Ip Mans and whatnot. But I always want to watch Man from Nowhere again.
Yeah. And plenty, I think Korean cinema is really head and shoulders above Japanese cinema. I've seen plenty of good, stuff from Takeshi Mike and some directors there and
Yeah.
Tadanobu Asano films and stuff. But I think Korea, there's so many great films, like even Korea, like Parasite, right? Literally won
Yeah.
the Oscar, right?
We didn't watch Parasite though.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel that the director's done 3 or 4 other films that are just way better than Parasite. But like you say, Hollywood's easy to impress, so they decided, yeah, let's just
Copy
acknowledge
it.
because we're woke, right? They
Yeah.
literally only acknowledged that film because they wanted to virtue signal woke. They never bothered about even acknowledging his previous films, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's what I hate about Hollywood. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
Korean cinema's bloody amazing.
Yeah. Agreed, because basically it's like stuff that you don't even tend to see before. Like not just
Yeah.
with the blood and gore, but also its themes, which
Themes.
Hollywood will never ever touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and diversity and wokeness. I believe in diversity and all, but preaching it and not actually doing it is nothing.
Exactly.
It's like
Very hollow words. Yeah.
very hollow words, and they don't actually follow. Don't want to get into it because it's like I'm talking broken record. But
Yeah.
let me say this: we forgot what makes entertainment good.
Yeah.
It's like give the people, because we're like gnats.
Yeah.
And in order to give us our attention, we need to have characters that relate, or stories to relate to us.
Yeah.
They don't even forget the third world. It's about my first world feels and whatnot.
Yeah.
Please, man, stop it.
They're more interested in putting diversity in worlds that are so far removed
Yeah.
that you can't even relate to the character that you've written, like John Boyega in Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
like if it's important that he's a black man in a Star Wars universe, then give him something to work with, right? Don't just make him a black man for the sake of it, right? Which is why I feel like I don't believe in diversity for diversity's sake, but I do believe in representation. If you're gonna make a film about London or you're gonna make a film about New York, then I don't want to see all white people walking around, because New York's pretty diverse. London is a very diverse place. Then I go, yeah, why aren't we seeing brown faces? We live here too. But if you're watching Star Wars and fucking fantasy novels, like, why do you need to make James Bond why would you make James Bond a black woman? You're doing it for the sake of it. You're not defining that character by their experiences. You're just changing the race and the color for the sake of it, without actually changing the writing. Writing for that person. They didn't write for John Boyega. They just made him a character, and they just go, you know what, we can't be bothered to write for this guy, so they didn't. And John Boyega's been telling people, these guys just put me in because they think they're woke and shit, but they gave me nothing, and they wrote my character out, basically.
Man, I need to hire John Boyega for a future project one day and
Yeah.
teach him how and show him how to do his character.
Yeah, that guy is a gracious guy, man. I wouldn't be surprised if you like hit him up and he just like goes, yeah, I'll do something.
Yeah. That's going to cost me money, though. Agents, getting him for a scheduling time, yada yada.
Yeah.
That'll take a lot of time and whatnot. But people in the chat agree. Like, diversity is great and wonderful.
Yeah.
Like New York and London, they're diverse of people. They're just like you and me. We have children to feed. We got homework to do. We got rent to pay. We got not to get caught with COVID.
Yeah. And people talk about representation, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's looking at the John Boyega thing. I look at like Riz Ahmed, right? He's a Pakistani Muslim, British Pakistani Muslim. I love seeing him because it's like seeing myself on, my people on screen, right? Not only is he Pakistani, he's Muslim as well. But look at his roles. He was like a bit part pilot in Star Wars Rogue One. He was a forgettable generic villain in Venom, the Venom movie, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you literally just put him in for diversity's sake. You didn't give him anything to write, because I know I've seen Riz Ahmed in shows like HBO's The Night Of, which is literally written for a person like him, literally written for an American Muslim facing discrimination in America, and it was one of the best TV shows I've ever seen, The Night Of. So I recommend that, right? And I've seen him in British indie films like Ill Manners, right? So you can write a great film as long as you're writing for that character, but you just shoved a brown Pakistani Muslim dude in because Sony wanna look woke and everything, and you didn't do anything. So John Boyega is far from the only person who suffers from this, and I think Asian characters, And Chinese people, Korean people, they also suffer. You know, they're great actors. They got freaking, you know, the guy from lots of Kim Ji-woon films from Korea, right? The guy who plays that ninja in G.I. Joe, the guy the rival to Snake Eyes, right?
Yeah.
He's a fucking great actor, but they just cast a Korean Asian looking dude as a ninja because, you know, all Asians are fucking ninjas, right? When I've seen all of his work from Korea, and I thought, fuck, he's a great actor, but he's just a generic fucking actor in this. Hollywood doesn't know. They just like to act woke, but they're not really woke.
They don't want you to do it. They just hire stereotypes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like something.
Exactly.
Like you said, you gave a good point. Instead of like a good character is any type of character, male, female, Muslim, Christian, or even a Jew.
Exactly.
We don't care about any of that. We just care about a character that relates to our problems.
Exactly.
And how we can follow his journey for like an hour and a half or an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like the hero's journey, which people seem to forget about.
They do.
Like from point A to point B. Or the New Hope effect, I call it, the hero's journey. How this young farm boy discovered his father was Darth Vader. It builds up over time. There's this mystery about his father and whatnot. He wants to join the Rebel Alliance because he wants to fight what was right, but his parents wouldn't let him. So after his parents were dead by stormtroopers, and how Obi-Wan's death affected him, it's like you really cheer for him and the cast and whatnot. It's the hero's journey story, the original trilogy, and that's why it's really well loved. Yeah. Besides its merchandise, it was a well-written commercial. No offense, written story. My correction. Yeah.
The Squire to Knight sort of, like you say, hero's journey, Squire to Knight story. Avatar, you know, Zuko has something similar. Like, in fact, it gives, he's already a prince, but they give him that whole Squire to Knight, that hero's journey. You know, these are some of the best. You take that archetype and you do something different with it. You know, it's not hard to do it, but like we say, it's all superficial now. You know, you're not writing for that character. You're just writing to signal to people, oh, come watch our film because we've got a black person, a Jewish person, a Muslim person.
No, he's just like a character you can relate to. People change due to events, and something happens with their lives. So, due to emotions and stuff in their lives, they change people. Like,
and anime has the same problem. They signal to the lowest common, like you basically the otakus. They're always trying to signal to the otakus and the lowest common denominator who will watch anything that has fan service in it, or lewd stuff in it, or it validates their lifestyle. It's all about validating a lifestyle, you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Anything else before we go and whatnot, or you just want to talk?
Nothing else. No. I mean, I was just going off whatever you wanted to talk about, but I'm good.
Because it's getting kind of like late for you, because like really late at London.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I'm a night owl. I don't know if you're a night owl as well, but I'll be up for several more hours yet. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good. I'm good to wrap up. So.
Yeah. So let me just get to one topic here.
Okay.
Like nostalgia. Like nostalgia is a wonderful thing. But sometimes you revisit it, it's not as good. Till like you watch it again, like example, there's a show called Gundam Wing. That got me into Gundam. And I got back into it like many times and I didn't like it. And then recently, all of a sudden, I met a person on Twitter that like gave some good points about it, so I checked it out again. And I kind of looked at those elements and I kind of started to enjoy it again. Even though the writing sucks and the characterization sucks, besides Duo Maxwell, of the pilot of the Death Scythe Gundam, and Zex Marquise. Despite having a borderline dull story, but it's like themes of like drone warfare and how the characterization of Zex Marquise and Duo Maxwell are, that made the show for me.
Yeah,
people don't know how to do themes in shows anymore.
Yeah.
Like nostalgia pondering. I don't mind nostalgia, but stop with the pondering, please. It's getting into a trope. I need some new content now. That was great during the 2010s.
I feel like Stardust, like I came off Stardust Memory recently, and I felt that did definitely try and pander to nostalgia, because it basically rehashed Gundam UC, the original series. Basically trying to rehash it with different characters there. You had the Shah, you had the Amuro Ray counterpart, you even had the Sailor fucking counterpart in there. They were basically filling in similar roles to those characters in Stardust Memories finale, and I felt like they were pandering to nostalgia there. So, but Stardust Memories was pretty decent, but I kept thinking to myself, why do I like this so much? Why do I like this? Oh, it's fucking nostalgia, right? I'm
nostalgia, and also the robot action. That's why.
The robot action, yeah. And plus seeing how influential it, yeah.
But continue.
Yeah, sorry. Zeta's the next Gundam show I'll be reacting to. So I still have a long ways to go on this journey through Gundam, but yeah,
exactly. Because basically, robot shows needed like a resurgence, like a reconstruction. Too many shows are trying to be like Eva or Gundam now, instead of their own individual stories. The last individual one was Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2007.
Yeah.
Which is scary. Or no, Majestic Prince, which was back at 2014. That was a fun series. It's like Power Rangers gone robot anime. That's what it is.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it is. I got it on Blu-ray. Okay, so I want to talk more, but it's getting kind of late, and it's like 1 hour and 40 minutes in. But I find kind of running out of topics to talk about and whatnot.
I think we kind of, I mean, you follow me on Twitter. We share a lot in common, right? So we expended a lot of the topics in a pretty short amount of time, I feel. So yeah, I'm okay to wrap up if you wanna.
Okay, so yeah, to all this wrap this up, we just need to like how to do storytelling again, and one of it is we need new blood. We need new blood in the industry that actually tributes the classics and actually respects them. And also we need like people who actually know how to do the hero's journey and the reconstruction. People always doing these gritty deconstructions like back in the 90s or so. It's like, come on, man. They don't know how to do... I'm getting tired of the dark and gritty and seriousness. We need to get back into like how it was good, how it was like kid, like
well-rounded.
Well-rounded. Let's stop the Empire. Let's feature well-rounded characters. Let's feature in a reimagined, rebuilt way of our favorite franchises.
Yeah.
And more than ever, we need more heroes than anti-heroes these days, because we need a Superman.
Yeah.
After all this, nobody's actually taking care of the problems we have today.
Yeah.
Not actually trying to be a mediator and trying to like stop the conflicts while the guy who's like the weapons dealer is like making the conflict worse to sell his products.
Yeah. We need new Supermen. We need Supermen who, like you say, deal with today's problems, not Cold War era fucking problems. Like that's why I like Legend of the Galactic Heroes so much, because these are two leaders who are great leaders, who would be great leaders for their time. You know, they're not great leaders for bygone era. You know, they're leaders for their time. They deal with the problems of here and now, and they try to find a solution to that. We need Supermen, heroic people like that. We need more great examples of leaders, I think, in shows as well.
Yang Lee and Reinhardt.
Yeah, Reinhardt and Yang Renly. Yeah.
Because Legend of Galactic Heroes is like one of the best anime for a reason. Anime wasn't that great. It's very limited at times and it's very slow, but its story is amazing and its characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ship battles are even more amazing. How they described how ship combat was actually hell and show people in an exploding ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all to say for now. And for people who love this episode, what are your thoughts on it? If you like the comment, leave it in the comment box below the video. Don't forget to like the video and hit that subscribe button and that blue bell. And don't forget to share this video around with your friends and whatnot. Don't forget to check out the Anchor and Spotify page for the podcast. And what are your final words, Makenshi?
My final words is go check out good anime, man. Check out Vinland Saga. That was something I liked recently. But apart from that, I think your viewership is kind of vibing with me as well. So I don't really feel I have anything more I could tell them. But thank you, Omega Katana, for having me on, man.
Okay, you too. So people, don't forget to like, subscribe, and whatnot. So that's all to say for now. Peace.
Take care.